seemed that long. I was extremely pleased to be able to appoint somebody of Dimitrios's academic calibre to a chair here at Bournemouth. He joined us from Surrey, where he held a leadership in business information management. He'd also read for his master's degree and his PhD in Surrey, and as many of you will know, he did his first degree in Greece. He joined us with a wide portfolio of tourism skills, but even by that time, he'd made his name in eTourism. Now, I, like many VCs, being somewhat sad souls, have web alerts set up that inform us every time our university is mentioned in the electronic media. So it's perhaps not surprising that most mornings I wake up and there's a blog or a tweet that's come from this gentleman on my left here. Not only has it come from the gentleman on my left here, but it's tended not to come from Dimitrios in Bournemouth. It's normally from somewhere else on the planet. I expect tomorrow that I'll be reading about the conference he organised today, and welcome to many of you who attended that conference. This inaugural lecture tonight, and also the fact that, I just have to slip it in, that in the Guardian postgraduate league table that was published this week, Bournemouth came out as #1. So if he wasn't going to mention that, perhaps I'll give him a plug now. Dimitrios has got a natural exuberance for life and also for his subject, and I'm sure that will come over extremely strongly tonight. Without further ado, I give you Dimitrios.
Thank you, Vice Chancellor. It's a great pleasure and an honor to be here and to do that. And it's a fantastic pleasure to see so many of you from all over the place, and especially for those people who have traveled from far away. When we start trying to put that together, I said to my colleagues and my friends at the university that we really need to preach what we teach. So we said this will need to be a multimedia lecture. It should be streamed online. It should be used on Twitter, on Facebook, on email, on all the different channels that we're using. And a lot of people actually didn't believe that's going to happen, but I'd like to say thank you to all the colleagues that you see around that they're doing it. We're streaming it online. There's a group in Slovenia and a group in Austria that they're watching online, and there are several other colleagues, and hopefully there'll be some Twitter activity later on. When I started putting the lecture together, I kind of started reflecting what has happened in the last 20 years and what's going to happen in the next 20 years. And I'll take you through a journey. It's about 126 slides and counting. So sit comfortably and we're going to fly. He said that always switch this thing on first. So a lot of people know me for what we call eTourism. And eTourism is 3 areas coming together. It's business, it's information technology, information systems, and tourism and travel. And today we had a fantastic event where we are talking about journal quality and publications about those 3 areas. But that gave me an opportunity to reflect where I came from. I came from basically a little island called Chios, where I started about 20 years ago doing my undergraduate. Yep, that was my balcony and the university at the back. I was the 4th graduate of the University of the Aegean. Now the University of the Aegean is probably one of the most well-established universities in tourism. And at the same time, I started working in hotels. Part of my practical experience, this is the Hippocrates Palace Hotel in Kos. Now it's called Kypriotis or something. And I used to be a photographer. A lot of people have actually know that, but they've never seen the evidence. And the evidence is that's on the Club Med in Kos in '87. The yellow trousers were supposed to be very similar to the Kodak at the time. And that's my birthday party, but never mind. Okay. At that time, I started getting very excited about technology. And there was a very nice guy called Professor Nicholas Litinas who had European projects on about telecommunications and what was happening. At the time, okay, this is a little bit before, this is late 60s, early 70s. It's about computer reservation systems and how they were operating at those times. If you want to book a flight at that time, you had to, they had those rolling kind of things that you're going around, you're picking the list and you're writing the name down. Many years later, obviously, they couldn't do that anymore. Technology was coming up, that's in my flat with 2 computers, my Apple Macintosh that had no hard drive at the time, and a friend of mine had a laptop with 20 megabytes worth of memory, absolutely incredible kind of stuff. And we used to work together with George on this research project, the STAR research project. What was happening is because I had the industrial experience, I had worked in the industry for a long time, and I worked in the research projects, I started having a whole range of research questions that I had to deal with. And the research questions were about strategic tourism management and marketing. It was really about operation management and marketing. It was really about destination planning, development, and management. I was doing it in Greece at the time. There's a contradiction of terms. Greece and planning do not go together. Small businesses and family businesses. I grew up working in a family business from the age of 12. Distribution channels and the power that a lot of tour operators have and how they are operating and what kind of negotiation deals they were doing. And back in '87, the penny dropped. And I said, if we need to work together with the markets abroad in the Western world, we need technology to connect. At that time, nobody has actually seen that. The GDSs, the global distribution systems like Galileo and Amadeus, were coming up. I like to give you the feeling of the time. This is 20 years ago. Margaret Thatcher resigning. Mitsotakis was the Prime Minister of Greece. And we had the Gulf War I. So I left Greece and I came to England about 20 years ago, the University of Surrey, to do my master's. And then I met Chris Cooper, John Fletcher, Steve Wonhill. There, wow. And that is the moment that my life changed, because I thought I'll come to England for a year, do my master's, go back to Greece, manage a hotel or something. But thanks to these guys, I stayed, so you can blame them afterwards, yeah? Finishing my master's, John Fletcher and Chris said, can you teach economics? And I said, absolutely not. They said, we will pay handsomely. I said, okay then. And I start, this is the master's, I'm there. Carlos is there. Where's Carlos? My friend Carlos from Portugal is there, and there are several other people there. And then we started doing a PhD, supported by Sarah Research Group and John. You can see young Adele there. Carlos was smoking at the time, he was around. But, and one of the very interesting things that happened is that immediately after I started my PhD, I started publishing. And that's thanks to Chris, actually. Because he was pushing me to publish from day one. And I'd like to give him credit for that. This is one of the first papers that I've ever written on destination management systems. And we had this discussion today about impacts and what can you attribute and what you cannot attribute. And I was talking about this paper. Now, 95, I've produced about 1,000 pages worth of text, and then the internet comes along. Major problem. Everything changes. Change place, change time, change thoughts, change future. And for a long time, people were totally lost. They had no idea where they were going. They were throwing money on technology, thinking that technology is going to resolve things. So I had to change everything on the thesis. Chris had to read yet another draft, and eventually I graduated. Now, after that, what happens is a different research strategy. The same kind of research questions, but a strategy that is looking to the future. And the problem with technology is the future is catching up. So you need to run faster than what's happening. Based always on strategic management and marketing. technology-empowered innovation, creativity, and relevance and usefulness for all stakeholders. The focus was on destinations as owners of resources. So if Bournemouth, and I'm glad that I see my colleagues from the council here, if Bournemouth owns the resources, how does the tourism industry actually work for Bournemouth and not for tour operators or other places? And we had that on the Greek islands, obviously, where a lot of people were coming and they were picking up, they were enjoying a lot of resources without necessarily paying for it and without necessarily looking after the sustainability of the resources. Close collaboration between public and private sector and global solutions for global industry. And one of the things I realized early is working very closely with people that they're top experts in the world. So I'm very, very privileged to have worked with a lot of colleagues around. So the first 20 years was really about strategic management and marketing, and was really about strategic planning, policy, distribution, technology and e-tourism in the conceptual development, theoretical development, and also looking into how the application was happening in airlines, in destinations, in hospitality and small businesses. One of the things that I started working in the last 3 or 4 years with Elena and some other colleagues was really about accessibility and disability. How accessible tourism can actually be much more prominent. And because accessibility is about architectural accessibility and also accessibility of formation to understand whether the architecture is actually accessible. And that's an area that I've been spending quite a lot of time. Technology-enabled competitiveness and competitive advantage, and a lot of things have happened out of there. And everything I was doing was looking about the future. About 4 or 5 years ago, Carlos got me in Lisbon. He gave me quite a lot of beers. 2 books came out of that. And you'll see a lot of those things. Now, at the time, I was at the University of Surrey, so we started the first and only Masters in e-tourism in the world. Then Surrey decided to move away from that, but that was a major achievement at the time. And the Center for E-Tourism Research generated about €1 million worth of income, looking into how technology is going to change everything in this world. Major achievement, a lot of students around that they came out of this program, and a lot of those students were also very active right now in the industry, and that's a major achievement. The other thing is the Enter conference that I started working with. This is from Helsinki, 2000 and what, Andy? 2. You can see Andy there, Andy Frew from Andy Brown, you can see Elena there. And all my students, I was trained by these guys to take my students out and push them. So Elena has done about 45 presentations by the age of nothing. The other thing that came out of all this work is quite a lot of books. The last 3 from the Enter conference I chaired, the research track, the e-tourism books on top, the Encyclopedia of Tourism, the Encyclopedia of Hospitality Marketing, a couple of other books, monographs, and some strategic management and distribution books. When you start summarizing what I have done, is I've done publications on areas of tourism planning strategy, and those are generic papers that they are quoted widely. The next few slides are like that. It's about strategic use of technology in tourism. It's about more of those. It's about destinations and technologies. And it's about technology and small businesses. What is very important from what we're discussing today is how this work is cited and how this work is used. And all the day of the conference was really about that. That is based on the Harsing Publishing or Paris tool that gives me quite high scores. And what's really an honor for me is that I'm the number 1, number 2, and number 13 most cited author of tourism management, one of the leading journals. When you look into Scopus and those kind of things, you see that there's a lot of people around who are following the work and they're publishing and they're doing things. And this is something that came as a surprise for those of you who know Bob McArthur in Hong Kong. Published in 2008, the citation analysis of tourism scholars. and he got me as the number 2 most cited scholar who has started publishing after 1990. With Michael Hall number 1, so it's not a bad thing being after Michael Hall, one of the most prolific persons in this business. Okay, so what is really, I feel my contribution in this area is really the relevance and the impact. Because most of the things that we're doing is really relevant and they've got a huge impact. These are some of the companies I've worked with. This is something I'm very proud of. This is the new website of Aquis Hotels, and Aquis has been founded by John Kent, and next week the Vice Chancellor will announce the John Kent Institute of Tourism will launch it in London. This is the new website. It has got a huge range of new innovations here, especially in the share, create, and enjoy things. And it's all about experiential. It's really, you go on the website and you really understand the experience that you're going to have there and how you're going to be able to enjoy those things. Research-wise, this is some of the partners that I've been working with in the last 10, 15 years. People from Visit Britain, Visit Oslo, Deloitte, DigiPro, Globo, Comunidad Valenciana, Anaperia Now, which is about disability, Epoch, Harmonize, OSSATE, and the projects that we have done. Last summer, I was also elected to the International Academy of the Study of Tourism, joining Chris, Steve, and John, and several other very prominent members of that. So, this is where we are now. We love our technology, and our technology is changing our life. This is not Stella, but could have been. This is not my mother, but could have been. But again, it's all kind of different groups that are emerging, that they are using technology to do a whole range of new things and to facilitate their life. Technology is bringing a whole range of things. Last night, 4 of my friends were together with me in my flat. They all had a computer and they all are speaking away to different people. Hello, I brought the whiskey out and something happened. But also technology gives us a whole range of new challenges. And the new challenge is, how do we manage communication and how do we do things? Quite often, when we're talking about technology, we forget that there is a huge digital divide. And this is the digital divide in Europe, where you have got anything that's north of Austria is fairly well technologically advanced. Anything that's south of Austria is not that well technologically advanced. And the same thing applies to west and east. And if you see different countries, you see that the world is, this is the digital inclusion risk and geographical distribution of tourism, and you can see where actually technology is available in the green areas, and you can see where technology is not available. This is from a paper that we just presented at the Enter conference last week, that's based on the publication on JTR about digital inclusion. And I found these fascinating pictures to show you, where they show the world connection density and where technology is actually happening and where the links are. And you can see where the links are, and you can see which areas are taking advantage of all those technologies and which areas are not. This world city-to-city connections, and you can see the transatlantic connectivity that's happening. Now, a lot of the research that we have been bringing out has been used by a whole range of companies. EasyJet.com was probably one of the very first airlines that came out and wrote a URL on their body of their planes, because it changed the whole distribution channel. It changed dramatically everything that they were doing, and it changed dramatically the way they were communicating, distributing. Hilton, this is a revolution. It started about a couple of years ago. This is about the calendar view and how they're actually pricing their products. Because until now, what they were doing is they were hiding their good prices, and they were distributing through a whole range of other players. A lot of innovations are coming out. This is a slide that's coming from Mike Price in Mandarin Oriental. They're bringing a whole range of innovations in the hotels to make you feel home away from home and office away from office, and to be able to facilitate your experience while you're there. Other things like meta-search engines are changing absolutely everything we do. People like Yahoo Travel, which is the old Kelku, Kayak, Sidestep, they're all those guys. They're amalgamating information, and what they do is they bring all this information to you to be able to do it. Funny story about, I guess it was 7 or 8 years ago, someone came along and said, I'd like to do the travelsupermarket.com. And I said to him, don't do it, you're going to be losing money. Who is going to give you live information so people who know what's the cheapest price they can actually find? Technology has moved much more. People are engaging with these things. Wrong advice. The guys are very, very successful right now. And what that has as a result is multiple shop closures, for example, from travel agents. A lot of businesses have changed dramatically the way they're doing business. They had to change, they had to remodernize, they had to operate in a very, very different way. And also the huge consolidation of the tourism distribution. There are 5 major groups right now, and the winner takes it all. I think in the United States, about 70% of the distribution is happening by 5 groups. This is remarkable and creates a whole range of other things. What really excites me is the new social media and the new ways of everybody communicating with each other. 112 million blogs, 4 new blogs created every second of every day. People have got the power to actually say whatever they like. One day we'll have more blogs around. And who is doing Twitter here? Yeah, okay. Still a minority kind of thing, but this is the plane that landed in the Hudson River, and this is the guy who took a picture and he uploaded on Twitter, and immediately everybody knew what was happening around. Incredible amount of currency. Everything is happening now. Everything is operating now. In terms of the size of the market, you can see that there's a huge growth of the market, especially in Europe, moving away from a lot of. This is 2 stages. One is incremental revenue, new revenue that's coming because you get, for example, the lastminute.com newsletter every Thursday, or it's going away from traditional channels to new channels. And what's happening is that we have a whole range of new abilities and tools to promote the destination. I'd like to show you an example of Montreal, if I've managed to find the. This is a little 2 minutes of how Montreal is actually presenting itself, and I quite like it. You'll see the whole range of new tools that are emerging out there that will be able to bring tourists to a place and present the place and demonstrate the experience of a place. So you understand the the potential of this technology, and I'm talking to our colleagues in the media school and to Peter in particular, to actually explore some of the animations we have in the university with some of the technology innovations that we can bring together. And that is the favorite slide of my daughter, which says, Junior, when you're my age, the price of a stamp will be over $1. What's a stamp? We really need to understand that things are changing, and they're changing really dramatically. A lot of the conventional kind of marketing, management techniques that we used to operate are absolutely out of date. Do we need brochures? What kind of brochures do we need? Do our students get brochures? Or are they on Facebook or on the other kind of media? So, someone said, I'm ready for retirement, but someone said, you have got another 20 years, Sunshine. I start thinking, okay, what am I going to do in the next 20 years? And I'm start putting an agenda together to look into what really interests me for the next 20 years. And last week in Switzerland, in Lugano, was really stimulating because we were able to explore a whole range of new themes and major themes, and to actually look how we can take things forward. Convergence, ambient intelligence, and interconnectivity. This is one of the very, very interesting things that they happen in the future. Technology-enabled competitiveness and industry structures, something that we'll be looking into the future. E-tourism empower tourism experiences in terms of context-based services, not only location, but also emotion, purpose, and mood-based services, where we'll understand that you are in that location, we'll understand that the purpose of your visit is business or leisure, we'll understand that it's raining right now, and we'll understand that you're drinking red wine. So you'll make a recommender system will bring out and say, okay, this is a solution for you for the next few days or for the next half an hour. Do that. Personalization, differentiation. How can you personalize and differentiate all these things? User-generated content and Web 2 and Travel 2. We are now building a little team here of people who are doing Web 2 and Travel 2 kind of things. John is doing his PhD on that area. We've got several other people who are actually looking into those things. Technology enable inclusion, and both inclusion of the digital divide on the one side and accessibility on the other side. Return on resources utilized. How do we actually return for the things that we have? Immersive environments and augmented realities, and you'll see a few examples in a minute, and that's something I'm trying to work with Peter on. And tourism strategy planning as the basic things. I just came back last February on this plane back from Australia, and just made a nice analogy that on the one side you've got the little Dornier of Olympic Airways flying out, with the two turbos trying to come over, and you get the A380 that brings us totally in the future. And the future will be consumer-centric, and will be consumer-driven markets and products. And those people who do not understand that, they'll be out of the market. The future of tourism will have three major axes. Will be consumer consumer-centric, where you'll have personalization, location, context, mood awareness, have proactive and reactive systems. You'll have system integration, and you'll have satisfaction-driven. So it will be primarily how do we use technology to satisfy the individual needs of the customer. It will be profitability-driven, where you have revenue and cost equations coming into there and change everything on what we're doing. And it will be distribution-driven, where you'll have a whole range of partnerships to enable the optimization of distribution channels and to enable the optimization of the whole operation of tourism. Now, when I shared this presentation to John, John is probably one of the most critical persons I know, but I shared it with him, and he said, give few things to people to take away. What do you think is going to happen in the future? What do I learn? So this slide came out. 6 things I think that the future of e-tourism will bring. It will bring the connected tourist 24/7, and you will see some examples of that. Experience and inspiration. Social world and Web 2. location and context-related information, augmented reality, and enhanced living. 6 different things. And something that we will be launching on the 24th, Alan? Of 24th is the multidisciplinary theme, cross-theme research topics that we're going to be using at the university. And a lot of those things fit nicely on the digital living and the digital future. So the first one will be the connected tourists. We are using all kind of technologies. The iPhone has brought a whole range of new applications, new way of interacting with the environment. Things like pictures, and then you have maps. You've got augmented reality. You have got maps coming out, and you have got a whole range of applications that they are following you wherever you are. This is very different. The Vice Chancellor is joking all the time with me. He said, "You take a picture, it will be up in an hour." I said, "No, it will be up now." Because this is where technology is going, this is where the tools are going, and this is what people are interested in doing. This is a very interesting guy called Pranav Mistry. He's an MIT student, and he has just done the 6 senses, and I quite like what he has done. I'll show you a little video in a second, but basically he has got this little device that does a whole range of things. He's got a camera there, a color marker there that he's pulling together with his fingers. He has got a projector, and he has got a smartphone. And what he can do is a whole range of new functions that is going to be emerging in the marketplace. So technology will disappear, and a lot of those tales will be coming on the background. Naturally taking pictures without necessarily having a camera. Organizing pictures. Making a phone call without having a keyboard. Scanning information, barcodes, and understanding products and services, whether they are for you or not, based on your preference in advance. Immediately you get the review based on what other people have got, because the technology recognizes what you're doing and it's projecting immediately in front of you. So we're talking about intuitive technologies, and you can see the techies, most of the applications that they're using are about tourism, because it's about mobility, it's about going out, it's about going to new places. So this is the connected tourist that is going to use a whole range of new technologies to connect and interact with its environment. The second thing is about the experience and the inspiration that's coming out of that. For those of you who have been to my presentations, you have seen probably the MGM Las Vegas and the kind of experience that they are demonstrating to you when you are going online to understand what the technology is about just before you arrive to the place. So they show you the hotel and how the hotel operates. So in a minute and a half, you have got the whole experience of the hotel that will demonstrate what you can do. Susan is here. We're talking about wildlife tourism. How can I interact with animals? How can I go to Kenya to a safari and actually enjoy that? You can imagine the applications of these things. These technologies are bringing out. Increasingly, people who do not like to use text to select what they're doing. They would like to have pictures, and this is some of the experiences that are emerging in a system called World Reviewer. And it says here a whole range of desires and themes. I want to explore, I want to be active on holiday, I want to escape, I want culture, I want pampering, a whole range of things. So it's really about understanding the needs of the customer. It's really about understanding the needs of the tourists by using different interfaces and creating the opportunity to interact dynamically. This is something that is coming from Norway, where you've got several criteria here and several switches, and they're using a mathematical algorithm at the back to actually say what is important, what's less important, and sort out and shortlist the tourism product based on those products and services that you have got out there. And it's quite funny actually. If you have a minute, go and try it, because all this picture is changing. This hotel is changing the way it looks. The prices are changing here, depending on the price index. So you'll have a whole range of new interfaces that will bring different experiences. Anybody using Hotels.com? Hotels.com has just brought out the visualizer, and the visualizer is saying, I'm planning to do this most. This is the room style I would like to use that suits me. This is the restaurant I would like to eat. I look forward to this kind of feeling in my trip. My idea of fun is on this trip is that. I'm traveling with friends, partners, family, group, or alone. I'm on that age group, and I'm traveling on business or leisure. And it brings you out with a destination and brings you out with several choices of hotels and products to enable you to choose accurately what you would like to purchase. Okay, third trend is about social world and Web 2. And I said already, we are building a team at Bournemouth where we are looking to social world and Web 2. And these are some of the very interesting slides that are coming out from a guy, I cannot read his name, Brian Solis. And he's talking about the conversation. and how people are having a conversation by using a whole range of different media, from social bookmarks to pictures, live casting, wiki, music, events, documents, videos, location, niche networks, SMS, specific to Twitter, live streams, and has got a whole range of different conversational items and channels. And this is the second iteration, where in the middle is the brand, and you have got the whole range of products and services to actually manage this brand and communicate with this brand. And I'm working with my colleagues in the University of Lugano about online reputation, how your reputation online is being characterized by people who are taking pictures, they're uploading pictures, they're uploading videos, they're doing a whole range of things out there. In a more simple terms, the TripAdvisor and the review sites, they're changing dramatically the tourism industry. And I bet that nobody in this room is traveling somewhere without checking the ratings of TripAdvisor. And the TripAdvisor is not only ratings. This is my hero. No, this is a request for Greece, on honeymoon in Greece and Santorini and things like that. And this lady is saying, my fiancé and I are going to be in Greece. The first of both of us. I'm primarily looking for peace, romance. I've looked into those islands. Where do I do? And this is my hero, Nick Ark. Nick is an architect. I've spoken to him on the phone once, and I'd like to meet him, because he has got more than 7,000 replies right now. He's an architect, he has got a perfect life, he's not a sad story, and he's replying to all the people who are going to Greece. And he says, please go that way, or this hotel will improve, this hotel will be nice, or that place will be nice for you. And it's the power of the consumer, it's the power of the citizen, and that is changing dramatically of what we're doing. Facebook is changing again the motivations of people for travel, the inspirations, and this is very much related to John's PhD. And I was in Innsbruck recently, and we're talking to the Tyrolean Tourist Board about how do they manage Facebook? What kind of pictures do they put up? How do they manage what kind of online reputation they've got? And they were quite challenged with that, but there are several techniques now that we're doing, and we're looking into that. I talked about context-based services and location-based services. This is also my fourth favorite area. We are using a whole range of machines right now that they understand where we are, within proximity of about 10 meters. And gradually we'll need to be able to understand what is happening around us. This is Peniche in Portugal that Carlos invited me a couple of years ago. Had no idea where Peniche is, what it looked like. This is the Google Earth images. This is the hotel we were staying. This is the pictures that people were uploading on Panoramio. So immediately I had a feel of the place. Peniche is very famous for those rocks, and it's absolutely wonderful place. And what's happening currently is the street maps and the Google Maps that are emerging with photorealistic images. And that is going to have a major impact in tourism, because people will be able to have an experience before they arrive to the place.
Brian German, web specialist at Google. Welcome to sunny San Francisco. I'm here to tell you about the latest feature in Google Maps. It's called Street View. Let's check it out.
The Americans don't mind, never mind that.
Here we are, Google Maps. Just click the Street View button on top and zoom in on the camera icon. There I am. Sweet, we're back. Want to go look around? You can. Just click on a new spot on the map. Let's go full screen to get a better view. Street View allows you to rotate 360 degrees and zoom in. Or drag the icon and drop it wherever you want. Areas where imagery is available are indicated in blue. Oh look, a cable car. Sorry, back to the demo. To rotate, drag the photograph left to right, or use the arrow keys. Let's take a virtual walk down the road. Click on one of the white arrows. To zoom, double-click on the photograph or use the slider on the left. Oh man, I could have saved myself that parking ticket. Oh, One last thing, you can also share these views with your friends. Just click on the link to this page button, copy the web address from your browser, and email. Well, that's it. Don't forget to click the Street View button on Google Maps.
Thank you. So you can see the whole range of things that are happening. But what really gets me excited in the last year or so is augmented reality. It's how do you bring reality, visuals, and information together. And some of the applications that are gradually emerging are incredible, and that's why I'd like to work more closely with colleagues in Bournemouth to actually take this thing forward. Because what you'll do is you'll have a device, maybe your mobile phone or something else, which you'll be able to just point to something, take a feedback, and superimpose a whole range of information that's coming from wherever that information is. And that information can be dynamic or can be static. And that is fascinating because you can have active information about what time your bus is coming, when is the bakery got new bread out, and things like that. Okay, I'm fetching it a little bit, but never mind. And the other thing is that if you bring social networking and augmented reality together, you'll know who is around, who likes what reviews do people have about other about hotels or restaurants or whatever, and you'll have a constant conversation that will be based on natural search, on just pointing at something and picking things up. So you'll get a lot of the information that we've got now that is offline or it's online but it's not interacting is going to come to our mobile phones, is going to come to devices that we'll carry with us and assist us in a whole range of things. So augmented reality will be about immediate social groups, it will be about connecting groups, it will be people like me, and you'll kind of select, do I have the same preference with Carlos? I like to see what he has rated nice and what he has not rated so nice. And you'll have things like that, projections in front of you on a dashboard, on your glasses or wherever, projecting the future, what's happening. This is about cultural heritage applications, and they're based on a project I did about 2 or 3 years ago, the Epoch project, and it was about augmented realities. This is in Ename in Belgium, where you've got a camera up there that is picking up a real picture, and you've got a computer up there that is superimpose an avatar that will enable people to explain the story of this monastery, which is a 14th century monastery. This is the interactive museum installation that it's for kids in the foundation of Hellenic world in Greece. This is some multimedia, mobile multimedia guide that has got, that you wear these glasses and you've got a little screen there that as you go, you can see, you can pick up information that is coming from the location and history of the place, and you may play a little video or other things to make it much more realistic. And this is a virtual guide where you can actually fly the place like a little electronic game. Final area for me is enhanced living, and it's about how technology will enable us to improve living or live in different ways more efficiently, not necessarily for everybody, but will enable us to have different products and services based on technology. This is a little extreme. For those of you who have never seen it before, it's a restaurant in Germany. And it's about a not totally automated restaurant in Germany with no staff.
One thing that restaurants in Germany have a rather dodgy reputation for, it's service without a smile. But this restaurant, you won't find a single surly waiter. In fact, you'd be hard-pressed to find any waiters at all. That's because this is an automated restaurant, a German invention where the food makes its own way to your table. And all your food is fully automated too. Each seat is numbered and color-coded. All you have to do is choose your number on the touchscreen TV. That brings up the menu, so you can browse through the menu. Here are all the fish dishes, for example, the meat dishes. Let's have a look down here. What's this? Beef steak with salad. That will do me. So you order that. Then you put in the chip card, and that keeps a tab of all your order. You pay for it later. And now it's ordered. Now, as soon as I press that button, my order appeared on a computer screen, in the kitchen, up there in the roof. All the food there is freshly prepared by the chef. They haven't done a way of automating food just yet. Meanwhile, while I'm waiting for my food, I can relax by sending an email or an SMS, or even by reading up about the ingredients. For example, here it says that the steak I ordered is made from locally produced beef. Now, when the food's ready, it's given a sticker and a colour to match my seat. Then it's put on the rails and dispatched downhill. And I'm like manna from heaven, German style. The German inventor who came up with this concept believes that automating the meal business is fun, also makes restaurants more efficient. And come to think of it, it also works out cheaper for the customers too. Because in a place like this, you don't have to leave a tip.
I can assure you, for those of you who will stay tonight, will not have that kind of service. Tonight we'll have an absolutely excellent dinner. But this is a new way of operating places. You may be agreeable or not, but this is a different way of doing it. And in some occasions, this may not be an option for people with disabilities. For example, they may prefer a service like that because they may not have the mobility to go around. So I'd like to look into a whole range of products and services that they'll be empowered by technology to be offered in a different way. This is, I talked about disability. This is what we call the whale in in this community, and it's about the severity of disability and the different types of impairment. And one of the very interesting things for me is to look into what kind of technologies do different disabilities require, and what kind of user requirements people will have with different disabilities and different severities. And this is Selina's PhD, which hopefully finishing soon. And once you have done that, then you put the whole tourism system together, and you identify what out of this system is actually accessible for which individual, enabling people to select the products and the services that they would like to have. Perhaps more fun, technology will assist living in a whole range of other things. And this is some of the pictures that are coming out of the Philips laboratories, that they were talking about one machine that will drive a whole range of things that are happening in the background there. The screens will be actually changeable to what you feel like having there. Pictures from your summer holidays, or would you like to go back to Paris for a shopping thing, or would you like to play with your cousin who may be in Australia right now? So this is it, more or less. I know that a lot of those things are about the future, and I know that the future will be for those people who have vision, and this vision will be digital vision. The next slide, I cannot really speak about it because it's I'll get very emotional. It's acknowledgements. This is a lifetime work of about 20 years and what's happening in the future, and obviously it has happened with a lot of people who have contributed. I prefer that it says it on its own. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dimitrios. That's very interesting, even with someone who wouldn't be as...
You need the microphone.
No, I can't.
So.
Thank you very much. Clearly, that was a very interesting insight to all things E and tourism and so on. And I think those of us who've known Dimitrios for many years, I have to start with a few anecdotes that will ring bells with some of you. I think when emails first started back in 1980 something, exactly, How many of us got an email from Dimitrios, pressed that print button by mistake to be confronted by 8 or 9 pages of email addresses and a one-line message saying, don't forget the meeting tomorrow? You're all familiar with that one. I think the other thing in terms of his media capabilities relates to every conference that he attends with that camera. Not only does he take lots of photographs, he's in every one of them as well. And they're on the web in about 10 minutes, not even an hour, and so on. I think on a more serious note, obviously this is the question and answers time for the audience, but I'll start off with one not meant to be so profound. But you talk about the whole web thing being more consumer-centric. You also highlighted before that there's a digital divide between those with lots of IT and those without. Is that almost a contradiction in terms?
It isn't, because what technology is doing is bringing us a whole range of new tools that are cheaper, simpler, easier. Sorry, I'm out of the thing, and these guys, they wouldn't like it. Yeah. It isn't. Technology is bringing us a whole range of new tools, which are more affordable and they're cheaper and easier to use. And gradually, technology will disappear. That's why I showed you this guy from MIT, because they're trying to develop devices that the technology will not prevail. The technology will be at the background of all these things. And they'll be affordable, easy, and gradually. What's going to happen also with Africa and places like that is they're going to go the next stages of technological innovation without necessarily having to go through some of the expensive things that we went through. Mobiles will be the new computers for people that they are digitally excluded right now.
Okay, the floor is questions for Dimitrios now. Anybody on? Sean first.
In 20 years' time, thank you very much for that, Dimitrios. It was, in my mind, a great number of ideas. In 20 years' time, I see this technology hardwired under my skin, directly into my brain. And I wondered, would you be happy with that? Second question, would you want an off switch? Yeah. And the third question, how long would you leave it off for? Because I think you'll be tempted just to flick it back on every time.
Dimitrios, I never switch it off.
Well, I never switch off. I never switch off mobiles. I never switch off computers. My computer just died before Christmas because in 2.5 years it had 8 years of work for anybody else. Major issue. I think that at one stage you'll have a trade-off between the convenience that this is going to give you versus the privacy that's going to take away from you. So every time you go to your car, you press your key and the door opens. And you may like to approach your car. The Laguna is doing that, no? I had problems with Carlos' car because you go close and opens, you go away and locks again, and you never know. And if you're a control freak like myself, you go and try it again, you cannot do it. It's a trade-off between the convenience of the technology that brings you versus the privacy that you do. Having said that, the new generations have no issue of privacy. All my students are on Facebook, they're just putting incredible amount of pictures in there, doing all kinds of things. So I think we are changing, the society is changing to deal with all this new media and the way we are interacting with technology. And I don't want really to predict what's going to happen in 20 years. I mean, 20 years ago, I got my first fax. So I got my first fax and I said, what is that? Can you put something here? You know, I was working in Kos Island at the time. And goes to Munich. Wow, that was innovation. And to be perfectly honest with you, a lot of the tourist boards, all the information that they're giving you is so hygienic, it's totally useless. They give you 6 pictures and they give you a description of 8 lines. Sorry, guys, but you know where I'm coming from, yeah? 8 lines. What good is that? Does it rain today? The picture that you took at 6 o'clock in the morning on a sunny day is totally irrelevant, and this has no integrity with what's happening right now.
But it doesn't take money off you. If you're walking down the street and something comes up and says, this is something...
Well, if I had a brochure of a place and I was motivated to go there, it has taken the money out of me, and more importantly, it has taken the time out of me. If I had the Twitter feed, or if I had a TripAdvisor review that has happened in the last 3 days, you know that this is fairly current. So we are much more, and not only that, but you can ask questions. You go to Twitter and you say, do you know of this place? Or you go to Facebook and you say, do you know of this place? And people are coming back and they say, yeah, we know. Or we don't know. And now we are playing. I mean, with John, we're playing with that all the time. We're just putting on Facebook different questions. What music should I play on my inaugural? People came back with answers immediately. Nasreen said, yeah, okay. But we went towards the Greek musicians who are abroad, Vangelis, Yannis, and nice screens, so there's got visuals as well. So it's all, the tools have changed so much that I'm not concerned about the integrity of information anymore, because the plurality of the information makes sure that you have the integrity.
Can we go back to something you talked about earlier in your talk, which was the problem of the extraction of value from a tourist destination? How does locality retain that and capture it? Your presentation was extremely stimulating and very exciting. I thought some was slightly conservative, because if you extrapolate the availability of bandwidth and the ubiquity of the technology, the questions start to arise. I'm slightly anxious about terrorist activity, and I want to keep the carbon footprint down. Thanks to my 100 megabyte optic fiber connection and my 3D HD television, I can actually see travel down the Nile and see the pyramids without actually having to do this physical thing. And it seems to me that's one of the, looking perhaps more than 20 years forward, that's one of the critical changes, that tourism potentially is not going to be so much, still will be, obviously to some extent, but it's not going to be so much about physically moving bodies around. And if that is the situation, how do the localities, how do the tourist destinations extract value from their intrinsic properties?
I'm afraid I'll disagree with you. Thank you for your nice words, but I'll disagree with you. What I'm normally saying to people is that because we now can explain a destination much better, we can explain where the destination has got sustainability issues, sustainability problems. Nothing can replace visiting the pyramids. Nothing can replace going down the line on a cruise ship. Absolutely nothing. This is one of the best things I've ever done in my life. Having said that, you can actually educate yourself better, and you can educate the industry better to understand how you can reduce the environmental impacts and how you can actually contribute also to the society. Because it may be a virtual reality thing or an augmented reality where you're not only looking at the archaeological sites for Egypt, for example. I've done a lot of work in Egypt recently. But you are also understanding the local communities. You contribute to the school, or say that I'm a nurse or a doctor or something, and I say, okay, since I'll be on this place, and since I'm connected with the other players, the other guys around, can I volunteer for a week? I'll have a week of holiday. Can I volunteer for a week? I don't see reduction of travel. I see increase of travel, but I see more responsible travel enabled by technology. I see a lot of technology make us understanding the area, the sensitivities, and contributing to the impacts.
More questions?
Mark.
Very, very interesting presentation, thank you. I just was struck thinking again about what someone else has said about power. It seems to me that there's the potential for great good, but also this negative stuff. I was thinking of countries that have a lot of argument about their history, places that maybe had a colonial experience, and there's maybe, you think when you're talking about sharing, people getting a visual display about the history of this place, and you start thinking about, there's a lot of research maybe to be done on whose history you're going to be showing. Are you going to be giving the kind of the colonial view, you're going to give the resistance, in inverted commas, view, and the role of kind of minority peoples or Aboriginal peoples? You think there's some really interesting things that need to be opened up, I suspect. Absolutely.
Technology is a tool. Technology does not have a political opinion. And what technology enables you to do is enables you to have a plurality in the way that you're presenting things. And you can say, here is one view, here is a second view. And if you Google it, immediately you'll find the whole range of things. But there's an issue of power. I just said if you Google it, Google will own absolutely everything, all the information in the world in a minute. There are issues of power. But actually, I grew up in a situation where we had power problems with distribution channels. That actually brought me over to England. That got me to do this PhD, to do this career, because you had specific partners on the distribution channel dictating absolutely everything you are doing in very unfavorable terms. So what I'm doing with technology is enabling spreading power, if you like, or enabling different groups to use technology to share their views and take some benefits out of it. But power is, you're absolutely right, power is it's a major issue here. That's a PhD topic, isn't it?
Thank you. I enjoyed it very much. You mentioned specifically disability and interesting health. Have other kind of applications that relate to e-tourism and other kind of health issues?
I mean, some of the things that we discussed together about health issues for people who are traveling, they're away from their home, your research about sexuality while you're traveling. There's a whole range of other things. I'm not so much on that area, but some years ago I was trying to put a proposal together for people to have their medical record with them electronically wherever they are. So if for example, you are traveling and you have a heart attack, or if you've got something, then a medical professional should be able to pick up a USB and say, this guy is suffering from 1, 2, 3, 5 things. He's got, he's taking 6 medications regularly, and he may need this kind of treatment. Because most of the medical professionals, when they meet someone, you know, if you run to accidents and emergencies, they're trying to make an assessment. They start from a blank book. There was an application that we are trying to put together in terms of connecting technology, medical records, and travel professionals. So whoever will pick up someone in need will immediately be able to find some information about this person, saying he needs this kind of things. But this scenario would like to explore more, partly because health has got so much more money than tourism for research, and also because there's incredible amount of applications that we can do.
Ken?
Hi, Ken. People are complaining that we don't have a microphone. Ken, sneak from the back.
Dimitrios, thank you. That was a terrific presentation, and congratulations on the work you have been doing and will do. 20 years from now, you describe what is possible. We can see what's possible now, and it moves so fast that we don't quite know where it's going. But a couple of years back, when in London they were trying to work out what to do next for visitor information, all the usual experts produced their plans about what should be provided. And the thought came up, why don't we research what information people need, where they are when they need it, what they next choose to do, and whether the information they provide changes what they do. That was a remarkable piece of research because it showed that they tended not to do the things that we thought they would. The information that they sought and received came from sources that we didn't think would provide it. So, in the great mass of tourism, all kinds of tourism, visiting sick aunts, going for dental work somewhere else, a business conference, casual leisure, 20 years from now, what proportion of those tourists do you believe will be managing their experience through this technology? And what proportion will be smiling and asking a friend?
Thank you, Ken. That's a very interesting question. Does it remind you of anything? We had a conversation with our colleagues in the Bournemouth tourism probably a couple of weeks ago, asking exactly the same questions because of the challenges they're facing. And it's exactly those issues. Okay, tourists are coming from a whole different backgrounds. And they're coming from different purposes, and they're doing different things. I would say 100%, but that would probably be a lie. It depends where they're coming from, depends what they're doing. My mother will never use technology to use for things like that. I will not ask anybody. I'll go online and I'll check. And if I need something on top, partly because of my training in Egypt. In Egypt, everybody has got an answer, whether it's right or wrong, it doesn't matter. So immediately you just recognize that you don't really need to ask anybody for directions or anything on the street. So you rely on much more robust information that for me it's online. But I understand that there are a lot of different people who will be using different things. Having said that, 20 years is a long time. And I think that if in a short period of time, I mean, the internet's only 15 years old, for goodness sake. In 15 years, we have changed the structure of the industry dramatically. I think in 20 years' time, we'll be having little machines, something, will be speaking in a natural language, and someone will be replying. The question is, would the tourist boards and the people who are charged with these things, would they be able to cope with this kind of demand, or would that be Nick, the architect, providing this information in his spare time, because he kind of feels obliged to provide this information to the community?
But if you're the lucky person that happens to contact Nick, that's great.
Yeah.
But imagine who you might contact and your holiday may be ruined.
You are, but I'm an optimistic person, and I think, number one. Number two, I think because you have got the plurality, Nick replies, but there are another 25 replies out there. And some people confirming Nick, or some people saying, no, Nick, you are wrong, actually. This place was good, but closed last week. So you have a plurality on the internet. That's the difficulty. I'll tell you what the major difficulty is how do you manage so much information? How do you filter the information? And how do you go to Nicks, basically? That will be the major challenge in 20 years' time. It is not going to be where the information is. It's going to be how do you filter the information to get what you really need. John.
Thank you, Dimitrios, for your comments about the website. Most appreciated, as always. But that's part of my question. I think one of the concerns, I've been working in destination management for a few years. So I think there's a lot of excitement, and you see what can be done. But I think one of the things with DMOs particularly is that we are set in a very traditional business model, which the industry is also used to. And it's all about guides and brochures, and it's all about probably PR and what we can do for the do here. And I think you're talking about being able to have interactive sort of video. We can't even get some hoteliers just to put a picture on. So we're a long way from that. And I think our challenge if we are going to have a destination management organisation is how we create new models which inspire the industry and the trade to come together and to actually start delivering this sort of interactivity that is needed in order for a destination like Bournemouth to be competitive. Because I think if it isn't, we are going to suffer. So I'm thinking about the reality in trying to create that change and what that change might be in terms of that sort of resources and business modelling. Because I think at the moment it's quite traditional, and it's very traditional. I think even the industry is traditional in that thinking as well. When you go to, I've got colleagues here that attend various meetings, it's very, we've got to find £1 million TV ad. That seems to be how we're going to do that. Well, I don't quite know how we're going to do that, and what's the reality of that. So there's a lot of education, a lot of understanding, and a new model which will generate the revenues that's required to deliver £200,000 MGM type video technology that gives the experience of Bournemouth and the different hotels and the different attractions.
You are lucky because you've got the expertise in your doorstep. So come and talk to us, and we'll speak to your hoteliers.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, come and talk to us. We'll talk to your hoteliers and we'll take things forward. Andy and I were in Lugano last week, and we're staying at the Hotel Dante in Lugano. The guy there is a very clever hotelier. His name is Carlo Fontana. Carlo creates a web page for each customer who arrives. Before I went there, I received an email. Here's the weather is going to be like that. Here is the picture of 5 or 6 key members of staff of his thing. He doesn't reply to emails. He says, go on the website. All the information is in there. When you arrive there, they've got pictures of the staff everywhere. when you check out, the person who checks you out sends you a personalized email on HTML that says, thank you very much for staying here, goodbye, have a good thing. 3 days later, they send you another email and say, hey, if you had a good experience, write on TripAdvisor. And I had a conversation, I had a coffee with Carlo, and I said, Carlo, you know, I really want to create a club of clever hoteliers. And to manage by jealousy, I suggested that to Commissioner Liikanen about 7 or 8 years ago in the European Commission. I said, we really need to manage by jealousy. And he said, what do you mean? I said, okay, I had enough of people telling me what they cannot do and they don't understand and all the rest of it. What we should do is get the people who actually understand what's happening and get them together and then showcase them to everybody else and say, if you do that, Carlo, for example, has got an average occupancy 85%, Andy? Yeah, has got an average rate of 250 euros. It's a 4-star hotel, but it's in a place in Lugano that's, you know, it doesn't have views of the lake and things like that. He is managing a fantastic operation, okay? And there are a lot of people that I meet from here and there, you know, on the seminars and the things that we're doing. And they're all frustrated, though the industry doesn't, you know, the other guys do not actually move things forward. And I said, okay, we'll have a club of clever hoteliers. We'll be going every year and we'll be seeing the innovations that people are doing from here and there. And then you will share it. It will be, you know, and because the hoteliers, there'll be reduced cost and stuff like that, low season things. But it's really about sharing excellence. It's really about sharing innovation. It's really about motivating someone by example. Sometimes they listen to me. Most of the hoteliers, they listen to other hoteliers and say, look what he has done. Look at the profitability that he got. Traditional business models, yeah, TUI has got traditional business models. A lot of other people have got traditional business models, and they are changing as fast as they can possibly do, or otherwise, you know what's happening after that. Sorry.
Be mindful of the time. We have time for one more question.
I think, Keith, there are some questions online.
Okay, go on then.
Yeah, it seems that the University of Ljubljana, a class on European Master in Tourism Management, is attending the course virtually, the lecture, and they have just sent an email with 9 questions. So I don't know.
Can you select 3?
I'll email later, I think.
Yeah, okay. The 3 of them. Can new social networks be used to attract older tourists?
That's John Fortis' question after he's finished his PhD. Social networking can actually attract tourists, clearly, and can enable people to be inspired and go to places, and also it can enable people to select the right place or not.
Okay. How will technologies aimed at smell, taste affect the tourist market?
Smell?
And taste.
Well, it's all about creating an experience, and now it's really difficult to convey smell and taste over a computer. But it's with the imagery, you can actually create feelings that they can push you towards a particular experience. John, is there any easy questions?
Sorry, I mean, it's
bye guys.
It's a master class, so
it's a master class. Okay.
The last one, therefore, can eTourism substitute the relationship between customers and providers?
Well, that's an interesting one because it came last night as well at the pub where we're discussing. The technology can actually enhance the relationship between the providers and the customers. Sometimes you go to a hotel or you go to a place and you have got fantastic customer service, and that enhances your experience. Some other times you go to a place and you are treated by people who don't really want to be there, and they don't know what to do, and they don't really appreciate that you're a customer. In that case, can I have the machine, please, because it gives me more value. I can key myself in to my room and I don't need anything else. So, and it's a typical question I get. Technology can actually add value on a whole range of things. Yes, it can replace human interaction, but sometimes this human interaction is not good. So if it's a good human interaction, I prefer to go human. If it's a bad human interaction, I prefer to go technology. Yeah?
There are some more, but I think we're running out of time.
Right.
Yeah.
Talking about smell and taste, obviously a number of us are going to the retreats. I think these times are all important. deserve another round of applause, please.
Thank you, guys. See you at the retreat. Christian has done a fantastic job, and we will enjoy. Come along.
There'll be people guiding you to the